Hello, my name is Ben and welcome to my shop. Today I'm going to give you a tour, but it's really messy because I just finished a project, so give me 1 second while I clean up. Okay, that's better. Now, this is a 2-car garage that I've upgraded to a 1-car garage. In a boring world, you'd be able to fit 2 cars in here, but there's a little something in the way. I'll get to that in a bit. I really want to show you what's over here. Now, when I was designing the layout for my shop, I had a lot of pre-existing conditions to deal with. There's obstacles, there's electrical limitations, and I had to be able to fit a car in here. So, with all that in mind, I came up with this. There's a lot compacted into this little space, and I'll get to all of it, but I have to start with what's under here. This is the high efficiency rolling cart. Either way, doesn't matter. It is tools bonanza. There's a ton of tools on here, and it's all organized and super compact. Down here, I have some of the tools that I use most often. It's really easy to just grab a tool, be able to use it, and put it right back. Just like that. In the event that I'm working on this workbench and I don't want to put a tool here, I can just flip down this little shelf and put a tool here instead so it doesn't get lost and it's out of the way. Moving on over here, on this side of the cart is where I store a bunch of power tools and other tools that I use most often. There's 3 openings for the 3 shelves, and it's really easy to just grab a power tool that I'm going to use it, and just slip it right back. On other shelves, there's things like lights and small saws and stuff like that. All the batteries for the power tools are over here. I really want to come up with a way for all the chargers to be off the desk and on the wall, so I'll just have to come up with a way for that to happen. All that, and I haven't even pulled the cart out yet, so let's do that now. This is the cart in its working position as opposed to its parts position. There's 4 wheels on the bottom. They're all locking casters, and the casters not only lock the rotation of the wheels, but they also prevent it from spinning as well. So when the cart's locked, it's not going anywhere. Usually I only lock 3 of the wheels because it's nearly impossible to lock all 4. This cart is where I store 3 of my major power tools: the table saw, the scroll saw, and the router. If there's any time that I'm using these tools, there's not going to be a car in here, so this cart will be in the working position. And that's why I don't even have access to them while it's in the parked position underneath the table. In terms of table saws, this is pretty much the cheapest, if not the cheapest table saw you can get. If you didn't notice, there's actually an outlet on the cart right here. If I need to use a tool and I don't want to run extra cables, I can just plug it right into the cart and I'm set. I've also set up an extra safety feature. So to plug in my major power tools, I can plug it right into the extension that sticks out from here. And in order to turn on the power tools, such as a table saw, can't just switch on this switch, I also have to switch on this one. That way, if I want to kill the power to the tool, I can use either switch and it'll work. If I'm done using the table saw and I'd rather use the scroll saw instead, I can just move the table saw out of the way and put the scroll saw up top. This is by far the tool I use most often. This is a hand-me-down. I got it from my parents a long time ago. They were just getting rid of it, so I took it off their hands. It also utilizes the same safety features, so in order to turn it on, I can't just turn it on from that switch. I have to turn it on from this one as well. So you can see that I can use either switch and it'll turn off the power. If I'm done using the scroll saw and I want to use the router instead, I just have to put it down and bring the router up. This is the router table. I don't use it very often, and I should probably put it on a thicker piece of wood because it's not very sturdy, it kind of bends. The router also utilizes the safety switch, but in a different way. If I want to turn it on, I have to pull the trigger. But with the router, there's an option to lock the trigger in place, so I'll do that. And it's in the locked on position, and then to turn it on, I just use the safety switch. That's a lot easier than having to reach under and grab the trigger. In order for the router to fit, I had to cut a small section out of the bottom of the cart. That way it'll slide right into place. This side here is where I store all my clamps. It's nice to have everything in pretty much one spot. The only clamps that aren't here are some of the bigger pipe clamps, and I store those over in the corner. Also here I've got the fence and guide for the table saw. Here's a look at the side of the cart that holds all the power tools and other tools that I use most often. When I'm done using the cart, all I have to do is roll it back in place. Now that I've talked about what's below the workbench, let's talk about what's above it. This is just your ordinary average pegboard. It's a great way to store tools out in the open, but after having used it for a year, I'm not a fan of pegboards anymore. I could never settle with a configuration. I know there's little things you can use to lock these hooks in place, but let's say I'm reaching for the safety glasses over there. I keep knocking things down. So I think in the future I'd go for more of a French cleat system or something a little more robust. Next to that is the miter station. This guy sits so the surface is flush with both sides. I don't have any issues cutting anything of length. It's also hooked up to the dust collection system right up here. Next to the miter station is the combination downdraft table and Dremel station. The Dremels create a lot of dust, so it's nice to have somewhere to collect it all instead of it spreading all throughout the room. If you notice, there's a switch down here just below the downdraft table, and this activates the entire dust collection system. There's a couple of valves that I use to change where the dust collection is going to be. I can either set it so it collects here at the downdraft table, or it collects through the miter station. So all I have to do is flip on the switch, there it is, dust collection. The vacuum for the dust collection sits just inside of this box. In front of it, I've got a sketch pad that I don't use very often because there's some old plans on it. Look at that. The box is sealed shut, and inside is a layer of foam to help dampen the noise. I haven't actually opened it in a while, so I'm going to do that so I can empty the vacuum. So here you can get a sense of what the inside of the box looks like. There's just these cheap square foam mats that dampen the sound. The plug comes in through here, and that has a bunch of wood glue on it to kind of seal that in. The vacuum connects to the PVC through there, and let's see how much dust it's collected. So let's see. Huh, look at that. I should probably clean the filter. Either way, that's pretty nice. Air comes in through the PVC, into the vacuum, and then it spits out into the box. Then the air can escape through this opening here. It'll go into there, and then it'll zigzag all the way, and then spits out underneath right there. That's where all the air comes out at. So because of all the places where the air has to travel, the sound doesn't go with it. And it makes a pretty quiet collection. So, in comparison, this is what it sounds like without it being in the box. So the dust collection runs up through there. That's where it splits to go to the downdraft table. And the other pipe leads out and up to the miter station. And I also set up another plug here in the center. So if I wanted to attach a hose, I could, but I never ended up doing that. So this just sits with a plug on it. Yeah. Right above the dust collection box is just another work surface. Right now it holds the mini golf marble machine, but soon this guy is going to move across the garage. Right above it is just some more cabinets that hold tools, and These cabinets were here when I moved in. I can't take them down, and that's why I decided to drop this workstation to give a little more vertical distance to work with. That way I'm not like working right underneath the cabinet. Moving right along, just to the left, I've got 2 Dodger chairs that are eventually also going to move to the other side of the garage. Sitting in front of them is a project that's been sitting around for a while. These are stilts that I made, and they're 4 feet tall and way too tall, so I'm going to make them adjustable. That's a project that I'll do down the road. Over here in the corners where I store 2x4s, they reach all the way to the ceiling. Just a bunch of stuff up there. That guy's a clock that I made for my wife a long time ago when we were still dating. She's a big elephant fanatic, and so that's one of the things I built for her. Moving right along, I've got, oh, up there I finally decided to mount the M&Ms that I built for Kurt Hugo Schneider. These are the souvenirs that I have left over from the project I worked on for him. Below that is the pirate ship themed key hanger that doesn't hang keys anymore. Bunch of stuff up there. There's just a bunch more cabinets all the way over here. Let's see, what do I got in here? Oh, this guy. You may think that this is a car buffer, but in reality it's the best massage tool you'll ever have. And right here is where I have my desk, where I do desk things. Let's see. Here's a bunch of stuff that I store, a bunch of knickknacks and doodads, little lights, plugs, what have you. Oh, here's some of those white marbles that I never used. Maybe I'll try them out soon. Now the desk originally didn't fit in the space because of these cabinets that were already here. So in order to make it fit, I had to chop off the leg and make it shorter so it would sit on top of that little ledge there. That way, it would squeeze into this space that it had left. Up above everything is my bike. In order to lower it down, all I have to do is undo the anchor here, and then it lowers down for me to grab. Inside these cabinets is where I store some paint stuff and craft supplies, and let's see, a bunch of stuff in there, spray cans, paint, electrical, more paint, tarps for painting, lots of painting, a bunch of stuff in here, and then there's just some more life stuff in there. Underneath here is where I store a lot of scrap wood and just some other stuff. Moving to the other side of the garage, that's where I have a pull-up bar. Moving on over to the other corner, over here is where I store ladders and lumber. There's just some more lumber tucked in away over there. Stuff that I'll use periodically. And there's even some up there. Look at that. Another one of the issues I dealt with when setting up shop was electricity. Now, electricity is obviously important to be able to run all your tools. So I was a little stumbled when I found out that there's only 2 locations to plug in. Here. One of them is up in the ceiling there above the garage door, so that doesn't really help me. And the other spot is over against the wall, right over there. And that is it. So, in order to power all my tools over here, I have an electrical wire running from there, underneath all those boxes there, through the desk, and to the station here. From there, I can power all the tools I need. It's not the best situation in terms of electricity, but I make it work. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this guy. Marble freaking Mountain. This thing is basically a graveyard for tools and boxes and other stuff. I'm gonna start scrapping it soon. So it's taken up way too much space, and I need to move some of my other projects and the Dodger chairs over onto this side. I'll keep some of it, but a lot of it's gonna go. Long story short, it doesn't work anymore. It's broken and it's seen better days. Well, that's it for my shop. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at my workspace. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below and I'll try to go through and answer as many as I can. That's it for now. See ya.